Okay, we've been fighting and fighting with the printers, and we finally figured out the best way for us to download and package and get all of our stuff ready for printing. So what you want to do is you want to take your InDesign document, and again, I'm going to highly recommend that you work on an 8-page document that has each one of your pages isn't any bigger than 5 inches so that it fits on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. We know that works. If you do anything else, you're kind of taking your own chances for getting your project done. So I have my 8-page document here. Each of these is a 5 by 5 square. Yours could be like a 4 by 3, or it could be like 4 by 6. Anything that so that 2 pages fit on an 8.5 by 11. You can totally go with that. So what we're going to want to do now is we're going to want to figure out how to save all of this. I'm going to walk you through a series of steps that are kind of complicated, so you need to pay attention, pause, take notes as you go. So if we go in here, instead of just going straight to print booklet or something, we're going to go to package. What packaging does is this is the way that Adobe has set this up to kind of pre-flight the documents for us. So it's made it so that all of the documents are, you can just take this one folder and give it to a printer and everything will print the way it's supposed to. So if you click through, you can see your fonts are in there, your linked images, so all of the images have linked to. Some of them are embedded, some of them aren't in there. You can change a lot of this stuff that's a little more advanced. Once you get everything ready, you can just hit package, and you can write notes if you want to, like who you are, contact, instructions to the printer, and click continue. And then you figure out where you want to put it. It's going to give you a folder. So I'm going to put this one on the desktop. I'm going to click package. You can click through this that talks about some of the restrictions, and then you can click OK. Then you can click OK. I have a font that's missing, but it'll replace it with something else. Okay, so now I can close this. And if I go onto my desktop now, I'll have a folder here that I just created that is full of stuff. So if I double click on it, you'll see that I have all of these items in the folder, which is a magical, amazing thing. The first thing I have is my InDesign document that's like a clean copy of my InDesign document that I can just take this folder right here, the 8-page demo folder, and just drag it, put it on a thumb drive, and print it any place, hand it off. So I have that. I also have it also makes a PDF for you, but it makes a PDF of each individual page. So they're not laid out as spreads like we kind of want them to be. They're actually laid out as individual pages. But that's still better than nothing. If you get stuck, you can at least get something printed, right? So you have that PDF. And then you also have this magical thing called an IDML file, this is set up so that you can open InDesign files on older or newer versions of InDesign. So for example, if I made this in 2014 InDesign and I'm working on a computer that's 2015, this IDML file should open. Or if it's a 2012 version, it should open. So it's kind of set up to help us out so we can port this thing around on different computers that don't have the same version of InDesign running. You can also look here at the document fonts, which is full of the typefaces that have been used, and then the links and all the images. So it's this awesome little thing where everything is kind of lined up for us. So we've exported as a package. The package is the thing you would save and back up, let's say, to keep forever. So what we want to do is we want to open up that InDesign file, the original InDesign file, or not the original one, but the one that's in our packaged folder. And so here it is again, and everything's back the way it should be, and it all looks right. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to export this as a booklet. So again, we fought with the different printers. This is a kind of foolproof way to do it. You go to File, Print Booklet. And so within this Print Booklet dialog box, there's a whole bunch of other dialogs that are in here. And the most important thing to do is to look at the preview to see how things look. But if you go to your print settings from here, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of options in here. And so yours is probably going to say, secure print or something like that. What we want to do is we want to make sure where it says printer, we change this to PostScript file. And that's just going to export it as like a printer file, basically. So we want to do that. We want to go here to Setup, and we want to make sure we have our orientation right. We want to make sure we have our page position centered, so it's right in the middle of the page. We want to keep the scale the same unless you want to shrink it to fit. It's up to you. We want to make sure we have the crop marks selected. So crop marks, make sure all of this is correct. Make sure that it's centered. Make sure we have PostScript file selected. Just click OK on that. And then if we go back to our setting, we want to make sure 2 up saddle stitch is the one we've grabbed. Click Preview, click through it to make sure it's all correct. The pages are paginating correctly. My bleeds is going outside the edge, which is perfect. So now I'm ready to go. So I just click Print. Select where you're going to put it. I'm going to put this back in the same folder with everything else as a PostScript file, so I can kind of keep it all together. So click Print there, and then you can click through this if you get any of these things. And it's going to tell me, if I look at my PostScript file now, it's exported it as a PS file here, right? So I can go ahead and close this now. And the cool thing about the PostScript file is if I click on it now, it's going to open it in Preview, which we don't want. What we want to do is we want to control click on it. We want to go to, so it's control click, open with. We want to find Adobe Acrobat. So if it doesn't show up here, just click on Other. Click on Adobe Acrobat Pro, wherever your applications are. So find your applications, find Adobe Acrobat Pro. Click on that and just click Open. And when we open this, you'll see it's pretty awesome. It gives us, each page is basically set up as a PDF file now that we can print. So what I would do from here is just save this. So go File, Save As, save it as an Adobe PDF file. Let's see, put it in the right folder. I like to write something like some way that I can easily find it. And it's going to save it as a PDF. So now if I close this thing down and I go open it, this is basically a file I can email to somebody, I can take to a printer like Kinko's or whatever, and each of the pages is now set up correctly. And as long as I can get it to print front to back, everything on here is going to work just fine. It's all laid out the way it's supposed to be. I can trim my booklet down according to the trim marks. Everything's going to work just fine. So now to print it, like let's say you want to print it on the school printers at SPU, you would go to File, Print here, and then you want to make sure that, if you have a different printer selected, you want to make sure you select Secure Print. And again, you would want to do this from one of the lab computers, not from your laptop, unless your laptop is set up to print directly to the paper cut. So log into a lab computer. You go through all of this stuff, make sure it looks right in there, and then just go through here and you want to make sure you click on Print on both sides of paper, and we want to make sure we flip on the short edge. It's really important that we flip on the short edge of the paper and not the long edge. And then just click Print, and when you click Print on that, it's going to send it to the printer, and it'll ask you through the normal things, just like you're printing any other PDF or a Word document or anything like that. And with any luck, it'll print on both sides. You can also do this on an inkjet printer and just print the even pages and then flip it over and print the odd ones. You can print it on, take it to Kinko's and they'll know how to print this for you on both sides. There's a lot of different ways, but this is the most foolproof method for getting your InDesign booklet ready to go, ready to print. Again, 8.5 by 11, just set it up so it prints on that, and that's the easiest, simplest way to do it. So I hope this helps a little bit. It should at least give you a baseline way of getting something printed to turn into for class. Good luck.